Brainstorming and sharing ideas is the funnest part of the creative process. We decided to skip the boring part of actually making stuff and just do the fun part. I'm your host, Tom Walma,
I'm Chris Karpinski.
I'm Mike Czar.
and this is Creativity Wasted.
So you know how like they have like player pianos? I always think those are so cool, but I think they should have other instruments that play themselves. Like, why haven't we figured that out yet?
You
Just
obviously have not been to House on the Rock in
No,
Spring
I
Green,
haven't.
Wisconsin.
They all play themselves?
They have self-playing trombones, trumpets, accordions. They have a whole band of
Oh
self-playing.
man, that's amazing. Where in Wisconsin?
Spring Green?
Spring Green. I'll check that out. Okay.
Wait a minute. So the trumpet, or like a wind instrument, it makes sense. You can just have a machine blow into it.
Yeah.
How does the accordion play itself?
Magic. Go.
Is there a robot that moves it?
Yeah,
There's a
robotic
ghost.
arms move in and press the keys.
Is it invisible robot, or does it look
No,
like a
it's
giant
basically-
human-sized robot?
It's not even a robot so much as a bunch of sticks and gears.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it's not hidden totally inside the instrument like the piano thing.
No, it's on the outside. That's physical on the outside. And the trumpet is basically hooked up to an air hose with little vibrating fake lips.
Yeah. But like drums, they have drums. Like, how do they do that? That'd be dope. Like, just like, I don't know. I mean, it's not up to me to decide how to do it. I'm just saying these are the ideas. Like, I think it'd be very popular to have drums that could play themselves.
Yeah.
Or guitar that could play itself. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You can have a band like
exactly. Like I get thrown by the player piano all the time. Every time I see one, even as an adult, I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, okay, it's a computer. They've had it. And they've had them for like a long time. I like looked it up because I was so into it. They've had it since like 1902. It's crazy how like not technologically advanced it is. But in my mind, it's like that's the coolest thing I have ever seen. So I'm glad to know they're at least working on that.
I'm not thinking of a great example, but a band where one of the members dies, not the singer, but like
the bass player.
Someone in the back somewhere is dead.
Yeah.
It's just invisible instrument playing itself now.
Yeah.
You don't need a replacement. It's just a machine that's just, and it could even have some of the eccentricities of the dead guy or girl.
Or girl. Women
Well,
also
program it. Like
it's 2022.
Not a lot of female drummers, but there's a few.
Yeah.
Well, there are drum machines that you can program and I'm sure you could program those little idiosyncrasies into it.
Well, I was thinking too, like you could have like a magnetics lift like the drum stick.
Mm-hmm.
Your app would judge me for not remembering the word stick for about half of a second. But you might not be able to do that for like super fast drumming. There's like a band like Def Leppard with the one-arm drummer that it's not complicated drumming. It's just steady drumming for like the whole song.
Look online, and I don't know what you'd search other than automatic instrument, but somebody built this wooden contraption that was, once again, basically gears and bellows, and it dropped like little steelies, little metal balls onto either bells or drums. Like on the snare drum, it was timed that these balls would fall onto the drum and create the beat. And I'm sure if you come up with the right thing to search, you'd find it, but it's fascinating. I watched the whole thing. It was like 20 minutes of a song, and it was just all these little intricate steel balls dropping on bells and dropping on drums, and then the big bellows that provided the wind to make the chimes go. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you could have like a Blue Man Group type novelty thing where it's just clever ways to do the instruments. Mm-hmm. I guess what you were talking about already exists, but it sounded more like a Disney animatronic thing, not like a
Yeah, like Chuck E.
Rube
Cheese.
Goldberg. Yeah, not like a
Well,
Rube
that's what the
Goldberg,
Spring
like-
Green, Wisconsin is more like a Chuck E. Cheese or
See that? Yeah, I want
Yeah,
Chuck E.
yeah.
Cheese. I want Chuck E. Cheese without the weird animals, without the terrifying giant rat. Can we do that? That's what I want. It's got to be classy. That's what I think. I don't know.
Would you want them to maybe have a robot that resembles a person that would
Hmm.
help play them?
No, that would ruin it for me.
Okay,
It's
so you
got to
would-
be. I don't care
No,
how they
that's
do
Louis
it.
Armstrong playing the trumpet.
Maybe they got to go out back and paint a pentagram and say some dark Latin words. I don't care how it gets done. I just want it done. That's my issue. I like the balls. I think that's very fun. That reminds me of is there a Michigan equivalent of COSI where it was like a science center? Do you guys have that?
I don't know what that is.
Henry
It was
Ford
like a-
Museum has some pretty cool stuff.
It was almost like a museum and it was just like for kids, and it just all the attractions were like there was a tilted house that if you looked at it from the outside, it looked regular, and then you went in and it was all about perspective, like how your perspective can be changed, and they had a bike that was on a cable and you rode on it and it was weighted on the bottom and they strapped you in and everything. There was no way you could fall off. But it was to show balance. This is how you can ride a bike if it's balanced correctly, which there are a lot of other caveats too. But yeah, it was just a cool that was really, but they had something like that. They had balls dropping for some sort of musical thing. I do recall that them having a Rube Goldberg kind of deal like that.
Yeah, that's what this was that I saw. It was sort of
Yeah.
like that.
But you want it for death metal with pentagrams and stuff like that, Mike?
No, I'm saying if that's how if you got to bring in dark spirits to do the drumming and stuff, it could be robots, it can be balls, you can make a pact with the
Skeletons.
devil and have a whole undead thing going on. Sure, that's fine too. I'm just saying do whatever you got to do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having a hard time conceptualizing what the nuance is. So it's not about it's basically what Chris described that already exists,
Yeah, but for other more than one instrument.
and more prominent. Like you want one near where you're at to go.
Yeah,
see it.
yeah. I want to walk by and see a saxophone playing itself and be what the hell? And then remember that exists.
Would
And then
you
you don't have to drop $1 in the hat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right, yeah. Oh my God. So many musicians in this town. It's
Or you
crazy.
just
Go to the
pretend
park,
to put
yeah.
$1 in it, and
Throw a rock.
it
Yeah.
goes.
On the subway, there's always people playing. It's pretty crazy. There was a guy who had a big didgeridoo, and it was, oh man, it was insane. It was, and you're in this crowded area, and it was a major terminal, and so people running around and stuff, and this guy's playing this crazy didgeridoo music, and you're what the fuck? You're just allowed to do this?
Does
Yeah,
it,
if they get a permit, they can.
good music on the didgeridoo?
It was cool. I remember I think on my way to a show or something, and it felt very yeah, I gotta get there. And it was a very action sequence kind of thing. I was this guy's just playing here for this. So it was cool in that regard. I think I looked him up. He has some stuff out on spot. I forget the guy's name, but yeah, as long as they're not on the actual platform, they're good. That's technically be on the platform's illegal, but people still do it.
Are there street comics?
During the pandemic, yeah, dude, there's a couple venues where yeah, you're on the street. You're because also the outdoor dining got really big out here, and there's just there's not enough space for New York regular. That's the biggest issue in New York, is just there's no room. Everything is just so dense. So they built all these weird, I don't know if you saw the news about it at all, last time around this year. Last year around this time, they were building these weird structures on the curbs of the street. so like technically you were eating in the street, but like at a table, and some of them like had heaters and some of them didn't. It was nuts, and a lot of them like still have it. Like a lot of those structures are still up, so it's just congested. But yeah, you can perform in a lot of those places, and yeah, you're basically on the street, and people are like walking by, and like someone's like trying to bark them in. They're like, "No, I don't want to go to that. Why would I want to go to that? That seems horrible."
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
I've done a couple of those.
Yeah, I did Daniel Thomas's. He does that in Ann Arbor. He has
Oh,
like
just
a
in the street.
Yeah, street stuff. He has like a portable speaker and mic stand, and
Do people respond well to it?
not when I did it. Well, when I did it, we were in like a parking lot near like a natural food place or something, and there was a bicycle group gathering, like to do like a bike run through Ann Arbor,
Yeah.
and there were like maybe 40 people by the time they had all gathered, and maybe 2 of them were watching us.
Yeah.
And then the other 38 were like talking amongst each other, like 8 feet away. Like, so there were a lot of people like right there, but nobody was watching.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. As part of a food truck rally here in Kalamazoo, they actually had a stage and advertised comedy at 9 p.m. And we had comics ready to perform that all performed. And the area was set up for comedy. And out of the 70 or 80 people that gathered there might have been 5 people paying attention.
Yeah. That's, it's wild. Like I was telling someone the other day, because they were talking about like seating for a show, and I like brought up like anytime you give people an option to not look at comedy, they will do it. And maybe that says something about the art form, but like 100% of the time, like I've been doing it for like 10 years, and every opportunity people cannot look at the stage, they will. So if you can limit that in any way you can, that is good. Just whatever you can do to make that happen is the best.
Well, sometimes like screaming, like loud comics can get people's attention in those,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Sometimes.
I've seen I mean, there were some outdoor shows here that were good. Like there was a show that did it. There was like a big amphitheater in one of the parks in Brooklyn, and they just were doing shows there. And so it was like kind of built for that. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was, I mean, it was one time. It was a really fun show, but one time there were a group of guys there. They're like these older black guys, and they were playing music as the show was going on, and it's just the park. So the people who ran the show came up, and they're like, "Hey, can you turn your, hey, we're trying to have a show," and they're like, "Fuck you! It's like the park. We live here. We like grew up here. No." So they started playing, I forget who the artist is, but that song "Tell Me Something Good." Who is that by? Tell me something good. Boom, boom.
Oh, that's a super old song, right? Like
Yeah,
80s.
but so they're just blaring it, and the you can hear it just going like whoa, wop, whoa,
Yeah, the
wop,
wah-wah
whoa,
guitar.
wop. It's the most like fuck you.
Maybe you can get two syllables in between each.
So funny. It was so funny just to watch. And then, like, I mean, the comics did what they could, but I mean, yeah, there were good shows. We actually had one. We have a backyard here, and so I've done a few backyard shows, and some of those are like really fun.
I didn't know there were backyards in New York.
Not a lot of them. Not a lot. We got really lucky.
Any shows you want to plug or anything before you go? Podcasts, comedy shows, whatever.
I'm putting out an album soon. I don't have it done yet, but it will be done soon. So I guess just wait for it.
Recorded already?
Yeah, I recorded at the Independent.
Oh yeah, that one. I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
You're part of it.
All right. Anything, Chris? Are you still there?
Just a monthly show at Valhalla in Kalamazoo.
What was it? Meted in Valhalla or something? There's a pun.
Mead me at Valhalla because it's a meadery.
Awesome.
You can get mead and custom sodas there. So.
Oh, nice.
When did you say that was? What day of the week?
Second Thursday of the month.
This has been a production of Planet Amp Podcast, powered by Pinecast.